We're back again. We're in the full swing of things. I hope you enjoyed your oral learning journal last week, because of course you have another one due this week. So because this is a spring course or a summer course, the assignments unfortunately roll by and you have something to do every single week. So your big task this week are you have another oral learning journal to do. You also have your first case, which is a ligne de neuf. You can find it on Blackboard. When you answer that case, I think it's really, really important for you. In the course syllabus, there's an outline to follow. So what is the problem? Why did it happen? How do you fix it? I do want you to appreciate when you're going through this case. My expectation of you, first of all, would be that you would read it, think about it for a day or two, make an outline, and then start writing. I also have a hope is that when you leave this course that I've taught you how to do a case, because I think it's a very valuable skill to have. You should also appreciate that when you graduate, and if you're in the real world, if that is such a thing, the ability to write a case is highly important. For example, in my full-time profession, I actually write cases almost weekly. The only difference is in the real world, we call cases proposals. So every time you want money to do something in your career, you need to write a business case or proposal to your bosses as to why you deserve the money. So when you do that, think about it. What is the problem? Why did it happen? How do you fix it? That outline is also highly applicable. So if you have any questions on a ligne de neuf, please fire me off an email. I hope you do your best, and I look forward to reading them. For this module as well, there's actually content to cover. So this is covering chapters 3 and chapter 4 from McShane. The essences of those two chapters, chapter 3 is about perceptual errors, self-concept, and chapter 4 is about emotions and attitudes. So let's talk about perception for a minute. So even though you don't realize it, we all make perceptual errors all the time. We use our senses, we judge things, and we may come to wrong conclusions. Maybe we're a victim of perception, maybe we perceive people in unusual ways. For example, how many of you have gone to a corner store when you were younger, and when you go to the corner store at lunch, maybe from school, there's a sign on the door and it says no more than 3 teenagers in the store at any given time. So what does that mean? So why is that there? So that storekeeper or that store manager is assuming, which is perception, because you are young, you're going to steal your chips and your pop, so they don't want you in the store. So does that mean that everybody who's young steals? I don't think so. So when you go through that chapter, there's actually 10 different perceptual errors presented. I'd like you to go through all of them. I'd like you to think about them. Maybe for your learning journal, you can choose a bunch of them, and you can go through and say how either you've been a victim of those perceptual errors or you've applied those perceptual errors to other people. Something else to consider is there's a model that I absolutely adore at the end of chapter 3. It's called the Johari window, and it's a way that we can make ourselves more transparent so we aren't the victim of perceptual errors. So the more people know about us, the more that we have effective and meaningful communication with other people, the more likely we are not to make perceptual errors because we know the facts, we know the truth. Chapter 4 also has some great material. It's about emotions. There's some buzzwords in this chapter that you need to think about. One of them is called emotional intelligence, and in the workplace, people call that EI. So that's not employment insurance, that if you lose your job, money shows up in your bank account every 2 weeks. That is, what is your ability to recognize, self-manage, and recognize emotions and manage emotions in other people? A lot of people are very uncomfortable with emotions. For example, let's say that you're talking to your friends, and one of your friends gets a call and says that their grandmother just died. Are you one of those people that the thought of what you should say to your friend who is grieving, does that make you uncomfortable? That's emotional intelligence. If someone's really upset or angry, does that make you uneasy? That's emotional intelligence. So it's really, really important. When I was your age, I was always told to leave your emotions at home. When you go to work, you think about work, and whatever's going on at home, you leave it at home. That's not possible. So for example, if I was homeless, do you think it would be easy for me to go to work and not worry about the fact that I left all my stuff under a tree and it may or may not be there when I finish work? There's also some other things to think about. What about job satisfaction? So when people are happy at their job, And if they are happy, there's something called organizational commitment. So why do people stay with an organization? Some people stay for continuous commitment because they're too lazy to leave, or some people have effective commitment because they love it. And when they love it, it's a perfect situation. But of course, not everybody loves their job, and I'm sure if you thought truthfully about yourself, you've probably had a job, if you don't have one now, that you hate, but you didn't quit anyways. So the last thing to think about there is stress. So if you're under stress, what is that like? Your university students, I guarantee you know what stress is. So how do you recognize it? How do you manage it? How do you remove yourself from it? Those are some of the key concepts that you're going to learn in Module 2.